Guys and girls, how are you doing today? It's Singer Roleplay once again. Today I want to show you guys my second last EPOCH build, which I've been playing for quite a while already. I'm leveled to 80 and this is the highest level character that I have so far. I also want to share some thoughts on the class in general. It's a bit of a non-meta. I don't want to play as Necromancer for a couple of reasons. First of all, the minions create an enormous amount of lag right now. And if your computer is not super fast as it will be very hard to play. Even the very strong computer can throttle the fuck out of, and honestly, very hard to play minions. It's a lag fast. Another reason is Necromancer is incredibly squishy. There's literally no defense there. You can stack. Not very high armor, no leech, no regeneration really. There's literally, if you can stack like necrotic protection and all kind of protection, like metal protection, you still need to do a lot of minion damage. That's why a lot of your slots are filled with minion damage and minion health. So there's not many spots that can where you can stack protection. It's very hard to live as a necromancer. So basically, a don't get hit build when you run around trying not to die from everything, and all that stuff. Overall, it's a lot of fun. It's very addictive. I had an enormous amount of fun playing the build, guys. It's super fun, very addictive. And like I said, it's the most level class for me. I level to 80 plus. And this character plays a lot like Necromancer in Diablo 2, which was always my favorite class. I also created about 3-4 Necromancer builds in Path of Exile, which are very popular, like top tier builds that if you will be searching for the summoner builds in Path of Exile, most likely you will find my builds out there. So overall, sort of fun. I can totally recommend this experience. It's very nice. If you have a pretty decent computer, you may even not have the enormous amount of lag that I do. So let's take a look deeper in the skills, guys, and I will show you all of this stuff in detail and my choices. I spec'd and despec'd and respec a million times on this. On this character because it's a lot of controversy over there. You can play it in many different ways, like skeletons, rafts, golems, all that stuff, curses, destroying corpses. So it can be played in multiple different ways. That's why I've spent more time on this character than anything else that I've played so far in the last POC. So let's take a look, guys. Let's go on. And I will show you the passive skill tree first. So we'll start with the Acolyte, and the most thing you need to spec is definitely the Blood Aura, which is like a direct increase of damage to your minions. Then I definitely spec into Mania of Mortality. When a nearby enemy, ally, or minion dies, you have 10% chance to gain 130 ward. This is the chance is very low in my opinion. That needs to be higher, but 130 ward, I think this is like one of the best thing you can get personally out of this shit whatsoever. Dark Rituals, another thing. This is incredibly powerful in my opinion. Potentially I might spec into this more than the Mania of Mortality because this is just very low. But if you want to stack for the defense, definitely go Mortality. If you're gonna get offense, go Dark Rituals. I think this is very powerful. And 1 point goes to the Unnatural Preservation, simply because there's no good points out there. There's a little bit of necrotic and poison protection as well as ward retention for you. Next we go with the Necromancer. This is where things become more complex. Definitely invest into the Risen Army, increase attack and damage, then into Embrace the Grave, 25%. This is like additional additive increase health. This is very strong, so take it definitely. Another thing you should be specking as fast as possible is a Life Drinker. I will tell you guys what exactly is this. When you use a potion, you drain the life out of random minion and use it to replenish your health. The health you gain is equal to 20% of the minion's current health. This is literally refills you instantly to full life, no matter what kind of health additive shit to the potions you have on your gear. It doesn't matter, always refills you to full life. This node is OP. Definitely take Soul Drinker, and this is probably the strongest node, like the biggest defense you can get on the build. Look at this. When you trigger the effect of Life Drinker from using a potion, if the drain minion have more health than you need it to gain, 50% of all of the excess health is worth up to a maximum of 500. So basically, when you make drink a potion, you instantly wait a minute, give me a second, give me an example. So that's my minion, that's my golem, right? So when you drink a potion, you instantly get 500 ward with this. This is the biggest defense you can get on the squishy Necromancer, unfortunately, and this is kind of, you know, the best thing you can get on the whole fucking tree. Alright. Originally I tried it to spec like in a health region, but this is just complete shit, and the flat regeneration that you have is just so fucking terrible that, you know, even increasing it by 100%, like over investment, it literally gives you like nothing. So unless the flat health regeneration will be increased, this is like all shit in my opinion. Another thing you're speccing is definitely Mortal Tether, increased minion health. This is increased health is not a multiplier, so not very good. This is like first priority. Then definitely grab this. This is like the next step that you should be taking is Frantic Summons, 3 points here, and this is OP. River of Bones. Your minions have 100% increased crit section and 50% of crit damage health. This is extremely powerful. This is like the best thing you can get. What it does for you, it raises the crit chance from 5 to about 10%, and this is when your minions actually start critting, guys. Actually start critting. This is incredibly powerful. Another super important thing is this: minions have 200 physical and necrotic penetration. This is very powerful. Spec into like max on this shit, because they go penetrate all kind of armor and necrotic protection all enemies, and all our minions are literally physical damage with a very small amount of necrotic. So penetration, physical penetration is extremely important for this build. It makes your minions extremely DPSing out there. Another thing that I invested fully is a Riot of the Undeath. This is just protection. Your minions have 240 additional necrotic protection and mana protection. You know, they are squishy. They will die like snowflakes in the higher arena waves. So unfortunately, there's just no way how you can keep them alive except for this Leech and literally this protection. So the more protection they have is better, and there's just literally nothing on the tree except this, so invest into this as much as possible. Another thing that I invested personally is a Shattered Bones 1 point, and then you get Sharpened Souls. This is like, you know, end game. 25% increase necrotic damage they take, and necrotic stuff will really melt them into pieces. But you know, this juicy amount of crit that you can get, that I think it kind of outweighs anything, and this is like the end game scaling damage for your minions in my personal opinion. Also in the very end game, I spec'd into Empty the Graves, 5 armor and 2% increased health regeneration for each minion control, and on the arena you will have about like 50 minions sometimes, so 50 to 60 even minions sometimes you can get. So 60 minions, I mean, it's 120 armor and like, you know, 100% increased health regen. This is actually pretty damn nice for just 1 fucking point. I think this is actually pretty powerful. But it only synergizes with the sacrifice. So if you don't have sacrifice, do not invest in the Empty the Graves. It will be pointless. But with the sacrifice, this is pretty important. One thing that I need to note for is also Mark of the Punishment. When one of the minions dies, you have 20% chance to mark the nearest enemy to hit for death for 5 seconds. Enemies that are marked for death take 30% more damage. This is neat little thing. And if you don't use Mark for Death manually, which I don't use at the moment, I use Sacrifice instead. You know, the choices are tight here. So if you don't use Mark for Death, then definitely this little bit, it's kind of not very important, but at the same time, you know, it's good to have. Honestly, it's just there. It just does the job a little bit. Another thing that I forgot to mention, guys, is this. I totally forgot to mention this. Sorry about this. This is also incredibly important. It's not crazy in my opinion, but it's just good to have. What if the minions dies? You have 20% chance to summon a putrid wraith from its corpse. You literally need to do nothing about this because it just automatically happens. Putrid wraiths throw poison at enemies, but their health decays at an accelerating rate. This is actually not bad. I invested heavily into this because I want to get as much minions as possible, considering we have emptied the graves in the end. So this is, like I said, is not crazy. It's still kind of an optional choice, in my opinion, like this too. So unless we will find a way to get more wraiths or more stable wraith generation or more wraith damage, I think Putrid Retribution is still, you know, good to have in my opinion. Even though it's not crazy, but at the same time it's good to have, and I personally, it's my choice to go for this. Now what about the Leech Tree? Leech Tree is kind of weird because, you know, it's mostly the melee character. Melee like necrotic. He also regenerates very slowly because he is like a melee leecher in general. But there is one juicy note there which is crippling insight. 2 intelligence reduces the health regen by 5%. Since we don't really care about life regeneration as much because we will be mostly relying on potions with the ward, guys. So, you know, it's just a juicy 2 intelligence. Juicy. Because this shit, let me find you. This gives you 1 intelligence and 5 necrotic protection, but this gives you 2 intelligence, and intelligence gives you 4% increase damage for any of your minions, like the skeletons, the Rafts. It just intelligence scales your damage of everything, including you and your minions. So that's incredibly good to have in my opinion. This is why if you like already quite far with your character, I think that going into crippling insight just to stack your intelligence everywhere where possible is not a bad idea. Now let's talk about the active skills. So the first thing is skeletons. Skeletons in general, let me tell you, are pretty shitty. For the start of the game, they actually do nice damage, but the more you go, the more Rafts you have, the more mana you have, the more everything you have. Rafts start to kind of suppress skeletons, and skeletons are incredibly weak since they are like permanent summons, unlike Rafts, which we basically don't give a shit if Rafts die. But if skeletons die, it takes a lot of time to resummon them, and these squishy bastards, they die all the fucking time. There is no void protection for the minions right now, so they just fucking rip left and right, especially in the arena. Like if you get the voids, if you get the necrotics, they really melt the fuck out of everything, including skeletons in the first place. So there's a couple of things that you need to know about skeletons and the last epoch right now. There is one overpowered unique, which is literally the only unique we have for the kind of unique Necromancer gameplay style, which is Reach of the Grave. Your minion spells and bow attacks deal 100% increased damage. Your minions leech 10% of your damage dealt by the spells and bow attacks. So spells and bow attacks, guys, leech health back to the minions as well as increased by 100%. Now what about skeletons? Let's take a look. There are 3 types of skeletons here. One is a skeleton warrior, which is like a default one. Then there's an archer, and then there's a mage. Where is it? Where, yeah, the bottom there are kind of mages there, as far as I know, right? Yeah, this is like the mages over here. So basically, what you need to do is get rid of the warriors. Right now, like all this shit, like Death Slash, it's pretty pointless because, unfortunately, Reach of the Grave does not support, you know, minion warriors. Like, it doesn't support skeleton warriors. You can see there's bows and spells, and warriors are just melee dummies. They don't have anything there. So unfortunately, not only they do not get the increased 100% damage, they also don't get leech whatsoever. They will just die, and That's it. So unfortunately for now you need to get rid of this, and that's why you need to stretch to the knowledge's power. So first priorities here is getting this Unbound Necromancer, increase mana efficiently, skeleton's crit chance, and this is your top fucking priority, as well as this knowledge's power to get 3 into Brittle Region, 1 into a Dying Shroud, then go to the Long Guardian, and then into knowledge's power. This way we're getting rid of the skeletons, which are the warriors, and getting just the archers and just the mages. Then basically invest into the archers damage. This is very strong. This is more multiplier with the bows. I also spec into the multi-shot because it gives you a decent amount of AoE, as well as to reduce the cooldown for the arrows. This is also very nice to have. So like I said, specking it to the archers and mages is a priority right now. Might change in the future, I don't know, if warriors can get some love, but for now that's about it. Now let's talk about another skill, which is Sacrifice, and Sacrifice allows us to do one important thing. It allows us to sacrifice minions in order to get the Blood Wrath. Blood Wrath is a very powerful wrath which has enormous amount of life, but at the same time it kind of degenerates very fastly, but it does a lot of damage as well. They have a lot of life in them. They are very powerful, and they also leech 75% of damage as health. These are just very strong, very fat, and they are very powerful in my opinion. First thing you need to get here is the Hammerfetch. Blood Wrath leech 75% of damage as health. Sacrifice has 15% additional chance to summon a Blood Wrath when you sacrifice a minion. Then you spec into this Crimson Horror. Adds as cooldown to sacrifice, but you have 100% chance to summon basically a Blood Wrath. That's about it. Yeah, always creates a Blood Wrath. That's about it. It always creates the Blood Wrath. Another thing you should be going, like the third priority, is Catalyst of Horror, because look at this, sacrifice chains between your minions. This is to say if the minion is within the area of initial sacrifice, it will be also sacrificed. So basically, this is the only way how you can chain explode your normal Rafts and gain Blood Wraths instead, or skeletons. Explode your skeletons, explode fucking everything, and get Blood Wraths instead. This is a bit of a problem actually, because if you explode your skeletons, it's just very hard to get them back. I mean, exploding 9 skeletons is a pain in the ass. They are painful to recast, but so, you know, it's a bit of a tricky skill. You need to get used to it. The trick about this is to try to drag your Rafts in some kind of, you know, area outside of skeletons, and try to explode just the Rafts and not the skeletons. This is the hardest part, so that the skeletons somehow stay alive. You know, exploding Golem is not big of a deal, but skeletons are very hard to get back. So that's kind of a tricky shit. The last thing you need to be invested, guys, is this. Altar of Flames, then we get Burning Offering, and then you get Internal Vindication. 39 increased mana efficiency. You deal 39% increased damage over time if you have cast Sacrifice. This is basically just for the mana efficiency. This is the only reason why I took this, to make Sacrifice cheaper. That's about it. The third skill is the Golem. It's a Bone Golem by default, but Golem is literally just a tank, like an aggro boy, and the only reason why he is there in the build is this Amalgam of Primalis. Your Golem grants 280 armor to all nearby minions, including themselves, and then this. Your Golem grants 16% increased movement speed for all your nearby minions, including themselves. That's about it. So literally you just take this, and then you go this route. Summons a Blood Golem instead. Every 2 seconds, Blood Golem cast can re-blood on nearby enemies. The Hunger node also applies to the Blood Golem's re-blood. Literally just heals you. When it heals, when it hits, it heals you. That's about it. The only reason why you take this shit here. So like I said, Golem is kind of a big fat tank, which literally is there to buff minions for their armor and movement speed. He serves no other reason whatsoever. His only priority is just stay alive and stick around. That's about it. Now we move into the Rafts, and this is like the fucking powerhouse of the build. They are literally infinite. They only gated by the cooldown, which is this. So like I said, first priority, there are two choices that you can have here. Two choices. So if you have a low crit chance on the minions, which you can see here on the minion stats, if you have like 5% here, I would say prioritize this route over here, which is the crit route. Spirit Link, more critical strike chance. Dawn of the Fall, more critical strike chance. And then Dusk of the Living, more critical strike, additional multiplier. This is extremely high DPS for the Rafts. They literally become a powerhouse. But at the same time, if you have a really low base crit chance for the minions, like 5%, they will need additional crit chance to actually make use of this multiplier. Otherwise, they will just not crit very often, in my opinion. That's why if you have not a spec into high crit chance over here, if you haven't spec into this, if you've done a River of Bones, then personally my choice would be to go into this route to help with the crit chance to your refs. If you have over 10% of crit chance on your stat tree, then definitely go into the right side of the tree, which we'll be explaining right now. So what is happening there? Logos of Resurrection, increased mana cost, alright, it doesn't matter. Dark Skid, Breaks get 20% more melee attack speed, alright. Now we go here, Echoes Inside. It's a 6-second cooldown, increases the mana cost dramatically, but at the same time you summon 4 refs with each cast of summon ref, but there is a half-second interval between each ref. And then we go this Stygian River, increase cooldown recovery speed, a reduced ref interval. This is literally like a huge quality of life. And if you do not spec on this right side of the tree, you will be having a hard time spamming your refs. You will be spamming, wasting your mana all the time. And with this, you literally cast once, then you have like 4 refs. Then after like 4 free seconds, then cast another one. Then you have 8 refs. Then another 3 seconds, you have 12 refs, and so in like 20 seconds you will have 20 refs, and this is very strong. I think this is like a quality of life improvement. There are definitely multiple choices that you can make here. Honestly, there's like a lot of choices that you can make, but I think this is like the way to go for the less pain in the ass, and this is what I personally use for now. Another thing you should be speccing into definitely more life. Refs are degenerating over time. They have like stacking degen on them, so they'll always die no matter how much health they have, unfortunately. So you need to invest into the life there first, and then you need to invest into the delay at the end. Refs health drain is reduced by 36%. These 2 nodes over here are definitely the first priority, including the Grave Reality as well. So once you get this shit on the right, start taking this, also chance to poison, and this down below. This is a personal choice of mine, like I said as well. Spirit Blood. If you cast summon ref near a corpse, the corpse will be consumed, and the refs you summon will deal 30% more damage. This is, I think, is a very decent node over there. For just 1 point you give a chance to deal 30% more damage. I think there's literally nothing on the tree that does the same, so I think this is actually pretty damn sweet. As well as this, when you use a corpse with summon ref, the refs you summon will have 40% more health. This is multiplied. This is very, very strong. So like I said, refs are literally infinite. They are decaying over time. The real problem with the refs right now is that they do not synergize with the Rich of the Grave, because like I said, Rich of the Grave only synergizes with the bow and and spells. And unfortunately, Rafts are absolutely physical melee minions. They do not have spells, they do not have bow attacks, they are just melee guys, and they do not synergize with the Reach of the Grave. And here we come about another problem here, which I'll talk about the gear later on. The last but not the least is this shit, which is Rip Blood. This only serves a couple of reasons: to give you some mana back. First thing, you gotta specking into Reminiscent, then Quenching, and then to the Manifest. The Orb of Blood created by the Rip Blood restores 6 mana, and the reason why we're going this route is this: Splatter Blood. 85% chance to cause blood splatter to splatter out and hit nearby enemies but not the target, and then Crimson Flood. That's about it. So basically, when you do this, Rip of Blood, you like create an area effect like blood splatter, which, if you hit a lot of enemies with this, you will return a lot of mana, and this is literally like one of the few ways how you can return mana in the build. Some people also use Wandering Spirits with the Infusing Souls, but honestly, I just don't want to use this Wandering Spirits. I prefer using Rip Blood instead. The last priority over here will be Crimson Blood, then going Blood Infusion, then going Fierce Frenzy, and then going Hammer Faggot. This is very, very strong shit. This is like a huge buff for your minions. Look at this. Your minions that are hit by the Blood Splatter gain Blood Infusion buff for 4 seconds. Blood Infusion grants 40% increased damage. Also, 30% increase attack speed, and also grants 40% of physical damage leached as health. This is also crazy. So literally these 3 nodes give you 30% leech, attack speed, as well as damage. This is crazy shit, guys. I don't think people even using this, so this kind of maybe my invention. I don't know, honestly, what people are using at the moment. So that's all about the active skills, guys. And there's also, like I said, a couple of options that you can use. I know that some people use Wandering Spirits for the mana and for the extra damage. Some people use Mark for Death, and I ran with Mark for Death a lot. This is an absolutely fantastic skill, guys. This is very, very strong debuff. This is like a curse that tremendously debuffs enemies. I also ran another thing, which is the Harvest. There's a very strong thing over here, Legion of the Leech. Minions have 30% increased critical strike chance per point if you have crit with Harvest recently. This is a bit tricky because you need to crit very often. And if you go here, over here, and over here, if you go over here, like this nodes over here, will stack yourself a decent amount of crit chance. So technically, you'll be critting very often and giving your minions tremendous amount of crit chance. But it also, is a melee-oriented kind of gameplay, and it's quite tricky. Hard to stay alive. You might get hit and die. So eventually, I dropped it and decided I'm gonna just go Rip Blood and sacrifice for this reason. So that's about it, guys. Let's talk about the gear now. Now let's talk about the gear real quick, guys, because there's not many things you can talk about. First of all, the weapon is, like I said, Reach of the Grave. This is the only unique in the game that is practically supporting the minions. So just good for the bow skellies as well as the skelly mages. Not good for the Rafts, does nothing, but this is literally the only thing that you can use. If you can get some kind of a wand with very high minion damage, at least like 50 plus minion damage, definitely use it, because it will buff the Rafts as well as the skellies. It will take a little bit from the skellies, but add a little bit to the Rafts, which I think is a very good idea. But unfortunately, I'm still in the process of finding one, so I'm still using Reach for the Grave. For the chest, this is practically, not the GG, but I think one of the best. Doublet of Honest Tool, body armor, gives 40% chance to bleed on hit and 100% increased bleed duration. This is pretty sick, in my opinion, especially for the melee minions, which are the Rafts, and definitely they just doing tremendous amount of bleed stacks. Definitely, even bleed is kind of shit. I tested it on my Void Knight, and bleed is kind of shit, but I think there's literally very good addition for the melee minions out there. The helm is practically just health, minion health, all kind of protection that you can get. The shield is block protection, block chance, minion health, minion region, increase health. If you can get some void protection, it's also very nice. Definitely void protection is very important, guys, trust me. The relic is, like I said, minion health, minion damage, health, nothing crazy. Boots, minion health, movement speed, increase minion health, it doesn't matter. Minion health regeneration is not very important, it's kind of shit at the moment because they have stupidly low flat regeneration just like you, so it's practically worthless in my opinion. Unfortunately, maybe things will change for the better. The gloves are basically increase minion physical damage, increase minion health, increase minion damage, and then you get health on top. I think this is also the best thing you can get. The belt is high potion slots, minion health, minion regen, minion damage, also elemental protection, which is gives me a decent amount of protection. Yeah, this is what I use now. One of the rings is a decent minion damage, high minion damage ring with a lot of health, some intelligence and armor. Basically just minion damage turquoise ring. That's about it. Another ring which I personally use is the Burial Circuit. 300 minion armor. I think, you know, it's very hard to tell how exactly it affects minions because we don't even see minion armor at all. But I think 300 minion armor is definitely very strong, in assuming we have all 16 move speed. I think it's kind of very good thing, and this is what I personally use now. But of course, you know, any other shit like this ring once again can be used here, potentially as a substitute. For the amulet, this is probably the best thing for the damage, although it's also very tricky. Death Rattle. 140% minion critical strike multiplier. This is sick, guys. This is sick. That literally is like triples the minion crit chance, as you can see. Even though yeah, sorry, this is a critical multiplier. So literally like deals tremendous amount of damage, like tremendous. It's a minion critical multiplier, it's not crit chance. So this is silly. But at the same time, your minions take 20% increased damage. So it's like they become super squishy, but at the same time they deal a stupid amount of damage. I think for the arena that's a good thing. Personally using this. If you want to try something else, just use, you know, minion damage amulet with health, void protection, minion damage, whatever you want, honestly. But this I think is pretty OP, like I said. I think that's about it, guys. That's about it. Just anything you want to have there, but I think this is pretty decent as well. I would like to thank you guys for watching the build guide. Like I said, the build is very raw, like the game. It's like 0.7D beta version, and definitely the build will be changing a lot in the future. And this is just what it works for me now. And even though I was unable to progress very high on the ladder. Because, you know, the arena is pretty damn bad for the minions because you get an enormous amount of lag, spikes. It's very hard to avoid damage. Some things just kill you instantly before you even be able to react. And unfortunately, I mostly die to the one shots on the void damage, like 99%. Because, like I said, it's not possible to stack kind of void damage protection because you have to prioritize minion damage and all this minion protection as well. There's also no minion protection for no void protection for the minions as well that die a lot to the voids. When the voids come on the arena, they literally melt everything there. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you like the build, and keep an eye on my builds. I'll be playing another build pretty soon, so keep an eye, subscribe to the channel, press the thumb up. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you soon. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for watching the video. Your likes and dislikes, especially, as they push me forward even more. If you want to see more content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do daily uploads of role-playing content, be it builds, guides, let's play, stream highlights, and upcoming RPG games. Also, don't forget to follow my Twitch stream to catch me live in action. I do stream daily on working days. I'm a full-time YouTube content creator and a Twitch streamer too, so if you want to support me, you can do it either from Twitch or by PayPal directly from my website angryroleplayer.com. Join my Discord channel too for a place to discuss RPG things offline, as well as follow my Twitter to be notified on any new content. If you want to get extra information like sneak peeks into upcoming videos, plans, different behind-the-scenes footage, you can also join an Unholy Army on Patreon as well, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching and listening to all this. See you soon.